Hello book nerds, this is Gabby and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This book was the pick of the month for our read-along that we're hosting in our Discord server, Dragons Library Book Club, where me and my booktube friends hang out and talk about books. I will leave the link in the description if you want to join us. We're actually gonna make a live show talking about this book, but by the time this video is up, it probably already had happened. So I will leave the link up there and in the description if you want to watch it. So, Rage of Dragons. This book is so well loved in YouTube, in Bookstagram, in Goodreads. It's rated like 4.3 stars average. Everyone seems to adore it, and I have such mixed feelings about it because the things that I enjoyed, I think they're fantastic, but the things that I didn't, which are a lot, I have really strong feelings about them. This is an African-inspired fantasy, which I find really interesting and refreshing, where we follow Tao, our main character, that is a lesser, a commoner in a society where bloodlines are very important and pretty much define your destiny. And Tao is supposed to become a soldier because in this world, everything revolves around war. But Tao doesn't really want to become a soldier. He doesn't want to enter the military. He just wants to live a happy life with his girlfriend. Until something happens and Tao starts spiraling down in a never-ending state of anger, hatred, and thirst of revenge. Yes, this is a revenge story. The world building is fantastic. I think Evan Winter did a masterful job with this world building. It feels contained. It doesn't feel too big, but everything seems intentional. I love that they're only ruled by a queen. There's no king out there. The most prominent male figure is the queen's champion. And everything is separated into castes. And it's brutal because if you're a noble, you can pretty much have the world at your feet. If you want to, you can fight to go up into the hierarchy. But the lessers are pretty doomed. You just get up to a certain point and stay there. Besides, you pretty much have to lick the noble's boots all the time, because if you don't, if you look them funny or if you say something bad to them, they can get you hanged. And they are allowed by law to do that. This is a really violent setting, and I think that's the reason why it's branded as adult fantasy. The other thing that I really liked was the magic system. I found it really interesting. I love that just the women were capable of using magic, and not just every woman. Just one woman in 2000 is able to use these powers. And at the beginning, I thought it was a really cool idea. But as the story progressed, I liked it even more because it doesn't work the way you think it does. It has a beauty and a simplicity that I found so compelling. But that's about it. Those are the things that I liked about this book. And well, the romance a little bit. But that's it. Now I'm about to go into a mini rant because the things that I didn't like about this book are a lot and took away a lot of my enjoyment of this book. I didn't enjoy most of the book. I did like the bullet point that kind of unravels everything, and the ending, the last 70 pages. They were amazing. I actually think if it wasn't for the cool ending that this book had, I would have rated it 2 stars max. But why? I didn't know there was such a thing called too much action until I read this book. I enjoy action scenes. I enjoy fights, but this was just too much. They were fighting all the time, and while I enjoyed a good tournament because it's sort of a tournament thing, so you see a lot of fights, at some point all the fights kind of blended together because they were super similar to each other. I mean, Evan Winter writes good fight scenes. The first ones I really enjoyed it, but then was like, here we go again. The same thing. Oh, Tao is fighting. Of course he's gonna win. It was the same thing over and over again. And that leads me to the focal point of my rant, which is the character work. I'm a character reader, so I want to get to know my characters, and the only thing I got from my main character was anger. All the time. That's all his layers. There's so many characters that were really promising, and I would have loved to dive into them a little bit. But we just got like one chapter for each, and as we're in Tao's head all the time and he doesn't think about other people, he just thinks about his revenge, we don't get to know them, and we don't get to know other layers of Tao because he's angry. There's so many reviews in Goodreads praising the character work in this book, and I don't get it. So that was my spoiler-free rant. There were fantastic things in this book, like the world building and the magic, but the lack of character development just really disappointed me and wore me down. So there's some things that I really want to talk about, so I'm gonna dive a little bit into spoilers before going to my final thoughts. I will put timestamps in the description if you want to jump around. So Tao starts like this really peaceful guy that is supposed to be a soldier because society says so, but he doesn't really want it, and he's not even really good with the sword until his father was killed by these nobles and he goes out for revenge. The thing is, he was supposed to train for a cycle, which sort of is a year, before becoming a full fighter, but somehow Tao becomes a fighting machine right after we start the book. I mean, in his first fight in this tournament to be chosen as a trainee, his right hand was broken, so he wasn't able to hold a sword. So Yeye told him, okay, you can learn with your left. And then he learned with the left, and he was awesome. And then he could grab the two swords instantly, and he became like a monster. He had like a magical power-up or something of the sort. And as I said before, there were some characters that I would have loved to get to know a little bit better. Jayed was a really interesting character. Zuri was amazing. I really liked her character, and although I think how her character ended was mind-blowing, I would have loved to get a little bit more of her when she was alive, when she was with Tao. I don't know how she kept loving Tao, but anyway, so the ending. I loved the ending. The ending actually saved the book for me. I thought it was really well written. The last 70 pages were really action-packed in a really interesting way. I was invested from the point that the Denny attacked their lands and everything started to unravel. There was a coup. They had to save the queen. I loved how Tao started working with Kellan because there were more important things to do than the revenge. And how Zuri sacrificed herself to control the dragon. I really thought that she was going to get out of that. But then the dragon shot fire and she was burned. And what? But there was one thing that I didn't like about the ending, and that was the fact that Tao became the champion. I mean, just nobles are supposed to become champion, and we understand that we're kind of breaking the rules here, and everything is in chaos, and the Denny are going to attack really soon. But breaking all the rules just for Tao, it just felt convenient. This book was so overhyped for me that I had great expectations and I was really disappointed. And maybe it's just me, it's just a preference thing. I'm not telling that you're wrong because you like it. It's just that I didn't. I rated it 3 stars in Goodreads, mainly because I like the world building and the magic system, and I like the ending. I think actually the ending sort of saved the book for me. But anyway, I would love to keep chatting with you about it in the comments. I would love to know your opinions about this book, if you're planning to read them, or if you read them and enjoyed them, and if you don't agree with me in some points, I would love to talk about it. And if you want to stay tuned for more content, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, ring the bell, and click on the subscribe button. I will be posting on Mondays and Thursdays. Thank you guys and see you soon.